Today could possibly be one of my happiest days of 2025 because my unicorn, Dettling Gold Wax, 82 month out of Atmore, Alabama, just showed up, and we're going to review it. Stick around. Welcome back to Brutally Honest Bourbon. Today I am getting to review one of my favorite whiskeys in the entire nation. It's Dettling out of Atmore, Alabama. You guys that have followed me long enough know that I absolutely love Dettling. While it has a unique flavor profile, may not be for everybody, the majority of the people I share it with really like it. And so this is what is considered the top 1% that comes out of Dettling. So not every year, but Seth tries to every year. This may be like the fifth time that he's done a gold wax. This is like his top 1% of everything that he puts out. And he'll watch a lot of these barrels, for numerous years, watch them develop. And this is going to be one of the oldest products that he has ever put out to date. So South Alabama, we talk about that a lot of time on the show. The South just ages things differently. So Seth and Vicky started making whiskey about 11 years ago. Atmore, Alabama, that's South Alabama, closer to Mobile. They started from, the bottom up, and they didn't want to source whiskey. They wanted to make their own whiskey and put it out. But we all know you've got to generate capital to sustain yourself, right? So when they first started, it was rough trying to figure it all out, and they just took the bull by the horns and decided, you know what, we're going to do this. So their first whiskey came out, and obviously me, being a homer and having known Seth as long as I have, I went out and bought his first whiskey that ever come out. This is a 24-month product out of Atmore, Alabama. You can look at the color on that thing. And this was one of those things where Seth had to decide, do I let the business go under? Do I start sourcing? Or do I start putting some of my product out, even though it's not where I agree that it should be? So he took the chance. He put the product out. And, the brand as we know it exists today. But it is much different in aging and profile. The mash bill, to my knowledge, is the same. They use 70% corn, 16% rye, 12% oat, and then like a 3 trio of roasted malts. There's no barley in this. The oatmeal is one of the things, or the oats rather, is one of the things that makes it so unique and probably lend itself more towards my palate. I love oatmeal stout beers, and that's something like what this would remind you of. I've not had anything other than his last year's product, which is right there. That was a 72-month product. Fantastic. I don't know if you've seen any of the TikToks or Instagrams that I did. I may have even put something on YouTube where I was saying that 72-month product, from an enjoyment profile flavor, was nearly as enjoyable to me as the George T. Stagg. I'm not saying it's George T. Stagg, don't get me wrong. I'm just telling you there's a craft distillery in Atmore, Alabama that makes a whiskey that has so much flavor it will knock your socks off. And that's what George T. Stagg does for me. Obviously, not apples to apples by any means. Seth's in a league of his own and deserves his own recognition. And I think they're starting to get that notoriety across the country. When it first started and I first tried that whiskey, I was fearful that they weren't going to make it. The whiskey was not what it needed to be, in my opinion, and in Seth's opinion. He's still got some of that in the Rick House in a barrel, and he says the Angels can have the short end of the stick there. They're going to get what's left of that one. It won't go to market, obviously. But then there's barrels like this that Seth watches over a course of time, many years. And there'll be times if you go there for a barrel pick in the past that there would be a whiskey that would blow everybody away, and Seth would have to make the call. Do I let you guys take this barrel, or do I keep it and maybe it's a 1%er in the future? So what he started doing after that, he had that happen to him several times. He let some really good whiskey get out that needed a little bit more age on it. Very good, but he knew it would be even better. So what he started doing is he went through and started pre-screening barrels. I think he'll usually do about 30 barrels. He'll narrow it down to about 4 or 6 for your pick that day. And those are barrels that he feels are ripe. They're ready to go. And there's not much more to be done for that whiskey. So that's the ones that he'll let you purchase. If there's one that he's trying when he's going through those samples that he doesn't feel needs to be let go, like this one, then he sits on it and he lets it age and he checks it out. Does it need another barrel? Does it stay in that barrel? What needs to happen with it? And I always ask Seth, will you do this? Will you do that? And he's like, I'll do what the whiskey needs. The whiskey tells the story. The whiskey tells me what it needs. I'll do that. So if it needs a double barrel, I'll do a double barrel. If it doesn't, then we'll bottle it right out of that first barrel. This particular batch, when it came out, Seth wrote for the description on his website. I'm not going to read the nose and the tasting notes and all that for you. I'll give you my thoughts on that here in just a little bit. But the distiller's notes. Patience is a requirement for this bottle. Whiskey demands extended air times. This is almost a 7-year-old bourbon aged in extreme conditions and requires the customer to give it time. After some air time, the whiskey will begin to tell its story. The nose changes minute by minute. The palate has the same seamless, endless complexity as the whiskey changes right before your eyes. This is what I refer to as a storyteller. If you're impatient or unable to discern tasting notes, do not buy this bottle. There are other bottles on the website that are just as delicious, that require a lot less attention. Barrel 270 is very unique and not for everyone. Please know your palate due to the high cost and limited nature of this offering. This bottle sold out in minutes. I'm not talking 20 minutes. I'm not talking 40 minutes. Minutes gone. And that says a lot because it's the highest age statement that he's ever put out. It's also the highest price point whiskey that he's ever put out. But let's talk about that for a little bit. So Seth takes extreme caution when sourcing grain. He's the one that drives the truck to go get the grain and bring it back. He does not want pesticides sprayed in the truck. He likes to control the rodents and the boll weevils and all that kind of stuff with the humidity and temperature. He does that from his phone. So he has a dehumidifier that he can turn on or off given the readings that he gets back on the phone, but he does not want pesticides on that. He's very in tune with where he's getting his grains, and he feels that he is getting the absolute best quality stuff. So he spares no expense when it comes to the product that he puts in his mash. I was there probably about 6 months ago. I'll go there even more frequently than that, but it was about 6 months ago that I went there and we just tried some right off the still. His White Dog is very reminiscent of what you get out of that bottle. It's chocolate, tobacco, some coffee, delicious. I don't remember the proof point of it. It was high. It didn't drink that way. It was very smooth, and he manages that. And I say smooth, it just wasn't very ethanol forward, okay? But he manages that by cutting his heads and tails. And so he's real methodical in his process and how he does that. So today I want to review this bottle. We're going to pour it. I'll give you my initial thoughts on it, and then we're going to let it time lapse. I'm going to let it sit and let it rest, and then we'll come back to it and we'll continue the video. So let's go ahead and pour a little bit of that and see what we think. So another thing is if you buy a Dettling whiskey, you'll notice this one's got a different top on it. Then this come off my other gold because I accidentally cut it trying to get it off. When you buy these bottles from Dettling, they put the tag on, but it's very difficult to get it down around the lip of the glass. So if you'll just take a knife and lightly run it around the edge, you'll get a clean edge like this all the way around your bottle. But you've got to be very careful not to get so deep that you cut the cork. I've done that several times too, and that's frustrating to say the least. But they use a real high quality wax. I mean, it's real nice. You don't have all the bubbles and the runs that you'll get from some of the others. All right, so we're going to follow Seth's instructions. We're going to give this some time, but I do want to just check it out because I'm very excited about it. Look at the color. I mean, guys, that's amazing. I love that. That is what I love about Dettling whiskey. I don't know that I've seen one that dark yet. I love these big glasses that Seth and Vicky use too. Got a big opening there to nose it. My fingerprints all over this glass, but look at those legs. Nice. I just love this whiskey. For you guys that haven't tried it yet, man, start keeping an eye on his website for the releases. I'm gonna do a pick there May 17th. Not real sure when that'll be ready. Probably would imagine it'd be out June-ish. See what the nose is like just to start off. Wow. I'm excited to see what's gonna happen with this one as it opens up. So fresh crack, fresh pour. Maybe for the first time, I'm getting cherry on a Dettling whiskey. Some vanilla, some bacon spice. I don't know if I'm getting like coriander. All right, we're gonna put an initial touch on the palate and just see what we think. But then we're gonna let it sit and open up before we give it an ultimate review. Cheers. My goodness. My goodness, that is good. So definitely getting that cherry. It's real buttery, nice hug there in the chest. So this thing is 114 proof. Probably drinks right there at that on the fresh crack. I'm excited to see what this thing opens up like. We're gonna put another little touch on the palate, and then I'm gonna let it open up. Oh, wow. I do not up front get as much of the coffee and tobacco that I normally get, which is what I love on a dry glass of Dettling, is that English tobacco that you get. I am still getting a dark chocolate. Let's let that sit for a little bit. We're gonna come back to it. I'm gonna give it a good 10-15 minutes to sit. We'll come back and check on it.
15 minutes later.
All right, so we've given it about 15 minutes to open up. Initial thoughts were, buttery, some cherry, not a whole lot of tobacco or coffee, some dark chocolate. Let's see. The cherry is still there. Love it. Very first time I've ever gotten that on a Dettling. The tobacco and coffee is starting to come out like very slowly. This thing may need more time than what I've given it. That nose is really nice. That's really nice. This is a different Dettling than I've had in the past. Like this is very special. Glad I got a backup. So I'm getting like caramel, still getting the cherry, but it's not as right in front of you as it was. It's more hidden by the sweetness of the molasses. Everything is it's balanced. It's just balanced. Nothing is just punching me in the face. Like some burned butter like you'd have in a cobbler. That is phenomenal. That's excellent. See what we think on the palate. There she is. Holy cow. Wow. So Seth said it was a storyteller, meaning that it unfolds, it opens up, you get different notes as time goes through. That for sure. Holy cow. So I did get some of the coffee, some of the tobacco, not like I typically get in like a 54-monther. Dark chocolate, my goodness, like creme brulee maybe. It's very dark. All the sweetnesses and everything are really dark. It's oily, it's buttery, it's so well balanced. So many things are hitting me at the same time that I'm missing them. I can't articulate all of it. It is absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. Not getting everything on the nose that I'm getting on the palate. The proof is just right, enough to let you know, hey, you're drinking whiskey. It is so buttery, oily, delicious. I'm afraid to rank it because I'm going to give this even more time. Like we're going to study this tonight. When we're done with this video, I'm going in a couple more times. We're going to let this thing open up. Starting to get some of that tobacco, which you get in a dry glass of Dettling, but I usually get it right off of the nose. Chocolate, tobacco, coffee. Not getting that as much here, but it's there. I mean, the same distillate, right? There's that coffee, like espresso. Dark chocolate, like browned butter, the cherry, well balanced. Absolutely fantastic, Seth. You did it, man. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. I'm very excited about that bottle, guys. Glad I got a backup because it won't last long. That's crushable. It's crushable. It's that good. It's absolutely delicious. It's one of the ones that you're going to want to run to in the evenings, and it's a higher end bottle, maybe a smaller yield. They're all sold out. You can't get any more. So you want to just kind of ease it along, right? You want to baby it. I'm not gonna. That's too good. Life's too short. You got good whiskey on the shelf. You need to be drinking it. Look at those legs. My fingerprints are horrible all over that glass. All right, so let's talk about it. On the nose, I'm gonna give it 4.8. I'm gonna give it 4.8 on the nose. I feel like I'm a little congested today, so I may not be being fair with it, but I'm gonna give it 4.8. It's really pleasant. It's really nice. There's so much happening there. It is just my jam. Oh, that is fantastic. I'll be taking some of this next door to Jeff in just a minute. He's got to try this, and he's not a huge Dettling fan. I'm wondering to see what he'll think about it. On the palate, I'm gonna give it 4.75. I think it needs to open up more. You know what? Let's give it 4.8. I mean, that's delicious. That's absolutely delicious. And on the finish, it's long. It's sweet. There's like some butterscotch in there. That rye spice just kind of floats on your tongue like a butterfly. Like, it's not real pungent. It's not real strong. It's got a great finish to it. Not the longest finish I've ever had. Not the flavor doesn't stick as hard as some that I've had, but it's up there. So we'll give it 4.75. So overall, I mean, it's a bottle you need a case of if you could get it, right? And unfortunately, I hate reviewing bottles like that, you know, most of you guys out there won't ever get that bottle. But if you come here, you can definitely have a pour of it. That's for sure. I'm not greedy with it. I think whiskey's for sharing. But that's it right there. Dettling bottle, going to be a 4.8. It's up there. It's crushable, delicious, drinks so good. Like, it drinks so well. I've never gotten that cherry like that. I like that. I like that. That's unique for Dettling to me. But guys, that's it. That's my thoughts on it. You know that I'm a huge Dettling fan, but if you know somebody who got one of these 82-month golds, I encourage you to rub elbows with them and get you a pour of it. Let me know what you think. Send me some comments. Tell me, hey man, I've had it. It was this, it was that, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. I'd like to hear your thoughts, because everything on here is subjective to my opinion. But from my standpoint, where my palate's at, that's the jam. I want to thank the patrons. Everything you guys do continue to make this possible. I really appreciate it. If you guys haven't looked over at our Patreon, I encourage you to do that. We can use all the help that we can get. If you are a patron, or if you're considering becoming one, if there are things that you think that we could do differently than what you see that we're doing, let me know. I mean, I want to make this worth your while, worth your investment, because I'm very appreciative of it, and I don't take that lightly. Everybody that has signed up on Patreon, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You guys can reach me at brutallyhonestbourbon@gmail.com. You can hit me on all the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. It's all Brutally Honest Bourbon. I love seeing your comments on YouTube. I love chatting with you guys, and I think you could ask anybody out there, if you chime in on Facebook or anywhere, pretty responsive. Like, you're going to get an answer from me pretty quick. So there you have it. That's my thoughts on it. You know I love Dettling. This is a banger right here, one that I wish I had a case of. I'd trade any bottle on that shelf up there to get one of these. I love my George T. Stagg, though. Speaking of cherries, and speaking of George T. Stagg, quick story. Last night, had a sample, 22A Stagg Junior. It's not Junior anymore, right? Stagg. I've always told you guys, I don't really like Stagg. I think I may have been converted. 22A, definitely bright cherry bomb, got that buttery, oily mouthfeel. It's one that I'm going to look out there and find. I know I'm going to have to get it on secondary. I know, but definitely going for that one. And another one that I tried, as a sample, totally off subject, just to share it with you guys, was the Short Barrel Cigar Batch 2. I bought 2 of those today because that was one of the most fantastic whiskeys I've ever drank. So good. Like, it's up there on top. I'm going to Short Barrel tomorrow to do a tour with them, taste some of their stuff, meet with Sam. Very excited about that. Y'all stick around. We'll have a video coming out on that. And at the end of this video, I'll pop up on one of these corners the tour that we did for Dettling. So if you guys haven't checked that out, check it out. My buddy Brendan Young did the videography and the editing on that. He's the one that created the intro that we have. So all the editing and stuff like that goes to him. If you're watching the videos and one looks subpar, probably because I edited it, because I am trying to learn. Brendan's trying to teach me. He's pulling all his hair out with that. Meanwhile, you guys, let the whiskey and the friendships flow. Until next time, cheers. Wow, that was different than what I had before. That's delicious. Oh my God, that's good.